You are sitting all alone by yourself at a bench nearby the street. You are trembling with fear, and a familiar voice from a bit afar grabbed your attention, but you still had your head lowered. "Wyan?" The voice became a little more clear, as if the person was getting near. You flinched at the way too familiar voice. Don't tell me it's him," you thought to yourself while slowly raising your head up. "And it's Jungkook? What are you doing here?" he asked in a serious tone as tears started slipping down my cheeks. And suddenly his eyes went wide as he noticed my tears. Why are you? Before he could finish, I got up from the bench and hugged him, making him freeze at the spot. He just stayed still, not understanding what's going on or what to do. Hug me, please, hug me tightly," I said in a shaky voice. I didn't know what to do. I was feeling anxious and my whole body was trembling. My heart rate was increasing. Jungkook slowly puts his arms around you and takes you in his warm embrace. You couldn't help but cry even more. His hug was making you feel safe and secure. After 10 minutes, Jungkook made you sit back on the bench again and after calmed you down. He was silent the whole time and didn't ask you any questions, as if he knew the feeling very well. He was waiting for you to relax. "Wyan?" You looked at the person calling you out and found Sojun and Maya getting out of the car. Sojun hurried towards you with a concerned look all over his face. "Where did you go?" he asked, making you lower your head. "I got so much worried after not finding you in your room," he added and glanced at Jungkook, who was looking to the other side. "Jungkook, are you alright?" he asked, making you glance at him as well. Jungkook's face looked a bit pale from before. He hummed in response as Maya approached him. "Are you sure you're alright?" she asked him again. "I am. Can you get going?" he said, trying to avoid her question. Everyone agreed, but you didn't take your eyes off him yet. Until Sojun interrupted you. "Wyan, let's get going." "Jungkook." You got up from the bench and called out to Jungkook, who was walking ahead of you. He turned around. "Can I come along with you?" you asked as Maya's and Sojun's eyes went wide open. Jungkook was looking at you with blank expressions. He nodded his head slightly in a yes and turned around to walk towards his car. You were about to follow him until Sojun held your hand, making you stop. "Why?" he asked in a confused tone as it was really sudden. "I'm still his wife. I was so sad, so I left him. But I guess I'm okay now. Thank you, Sojun, for your help." You smiled weakly at him. He loosened his grip around you as his heart felt heavy. "I'm sorry, Sojun, but I have something to do. I need to finish that," you thought to yourself as you headed towards Jungkook's car. Flashback. "What?" He sat up on the bed. "Wyan has gone missing for a while now. She said she will be taking rest in her room, but when the maid went to check up on her, she was nowhere to be seen," he replied in a worried tone. "I'm coming over." He quickly headed downstairs, buttoning up his shirt. "Master, where are you going?" Housekeeper Min asked him as he turned around to face her. "I got some important work," he replied and left. Miss Min looked at him and took her phone out and dialed a number. "Miss Maya, Master left the house in a hurry." Meanwhile, at Kim's mansion. "Where is Tina?" you asked, glaring at Mrs. Kim. "Oh, my daughter, you really think I would do something bad to my own child?" She smiled. "Just shut up and reply. And how can you? I got no time for your stupid drama. So listen to me." She didn't pay attention to any of your words. Flashback ends. At present time. You were sitting by the window in your room until you heard a knock at the door, making you turn around. You saw Jungkook standing at the door as the door was already open, but he didn't think it was polite of him to walk in just like that. He walked in and nervously looked at you. About earlier, are you alright? He asked, making you hum in response. Oh, I see. And there was absolute silence between you two. If that's the case, I will get going. He turned around to leave until you stopped him. Jungkook? I want to work at your company. Can I? You asked him as he silently looked at you for a while. Get ready tomorrow morning. Saying that, he left the room. You looked at his back blankly. Since when did he start accepting my request? But isn't it good? I will be close to my goal this way. You thought to yourself. Next morning, you got downstairs all ready to go to the company with Jungkook. My lady, come have breakfast, she said, making you blink twice. Did she just call me, or is she talking to someone else? You thought to yourself as you looked at her again, just to find her looking straight at you. My lady, she gave you a confused look. You looked behind her and saw Jungkook having his breakfast silently. You nodded and headed towards the dining table and were about to sit far from Jungkook until Miss Min interrupted you again. My lady, your place is over here beside Master. She pulled out a chair beside Jungkook for you, leaving you in complete shock. Since when did they? You thought as you looked at her in disbelief. Awkwardly, you nodded at her and took your seat beside him. At Jungkook's company, you walked behind Jungkook all the way towards his cabin as all the employees around bowed to him. Taking his suit jacket off, Jungkook placed it on his chair neatly and sat down back in his chair. You stood in front of him holding a few documents you had in your hand against your chest. Mr. Tim, come to my cabin right now. He called his secretary and in a few minutes he was already standing beside you. Yes, sir. Show Ryan around and give her the work that was assigned for her, he said, making him bow in response. Let's get going, my lady. He smiled at you. Mr. Tim showed you around and you were sitting at your desk working until you heard a few ladies whispering around you. Hey, did you hear? There's a new employee who joined in today and she was recommended to this department by John himself. Huh, really? Someone recommended by Mr. John himself must be really talented and smart, replied the other. They had no idea that you were his wife. They just knew your new employee joined in. You tried to ignore them and get back to your work until they started again. I heard it's a lady. Huh, a lady? That's rare. Are you sure it's a lady? Of course, I heard them saying it was a pretty lady who joined. So what if she is pretty? It's hard to seduce Mr. John. They laughed. I still can't believe he is married. They sighed. Silence. A familiar voice made you flinch as you looked at the door and saw Maya standing there with a stern face looking at those female employees. Are you here to work or gossip? If you have so much free time, it will be better if you do overtime, she said in a cold voice, making all of them go silent. We are sorry, Miss Maya. They bowed to her and hurried towards their desk. Maya's eyes went to you. You smiled at her, but she just walked away. Maya works with Jungkook when she visits here. I have heard a few employees talking about it earlier. You mumbled as you watched her leave. I'll get back to work. Why is this meeting conducted so urgently? The person next to you asked to another. You were clueless yourself. I heard our company important projects were leaked, the other employees said, making your eyes go wide. Are they talking about? You nervously started rubbing your palms against each other. What? Are you talking about the Mr. John himself is working along with our team? The other asked in shock, making him nod in response. The pen drive you handed over to your mom had all of this information. The whole room went silent as the door of the room opened, revealing Jungkook and Maya, who followed him behind. Jungkook stood in front of everyone and slammed his hand on the table loudly, leaving everyone flattered. I guess many of you might already know why this meeting was arranged. Am I right? He asked in his deep husky voice, making everyone look at each other in silence. As you will know, this project was under your department, and now that it got leaked, that means one of you is the culprit. Maya said, and all started gossiping amongst themselves. You were silent the whole time with your head lowered. Only Jungkook and along with each one of you has the information of the project saved in your PCs. So it's better to save the effects and hand yourself to the cops right now, before we further investigate it, she said. Everyone, get back to work, he said, making everyone look at him along with him in shock. He had no tense expression or any fear on his face, even in such a situation. Everyone started walking out. Jungkook stayed back in the conference hall and all the others had already left. He walked out and were amazed to see Maya standing in the hallway just a few inches away from you. You ignored and were about to leave until she called out to you. Wyan? You slowly turned around at her voice. She calmly walked towards you and stood in front of you. Should I get straight to the point? She asked, making you raise your brows at her. What do you mean? Was it you behind this leak? He asked, making your eyes go a bit wide.